Watch me drip, and watch me vape. Can't flood this. Can't flood this. Can't flood this. What's up, everybody? It's Demo with Demo Vapes coming back at you with another First Impressions tonight. Tonight, we're going to be taking a look at the new Recoil Rebel by Grimm Green and Homeboy OC. Alright, and here is the star of the show. This is the Recoil Rebel by Grimm Green and Homeboy OC. This is with the airflow control cap on, and looking very beautiful on top of this vaporized Nomad's Boss 3000. It's a 25mm RDA, and while it doesn't really quite reinvent the wheel from the original Recoil, it does make quite a lot of improvements and has a few unique features. All of this I'll show you down up in close-ups. Alright, everybody, let's dive down, take a look up close, and I'll show you a lot more on the Recoil Rebel. Alright, everybody, here's the Recoil Rebel by Grimm Green and Homeboy OC. On the packaging, we have Recoil Rebel right up front. On the sides, we have Grimm Green and Homeboy's logo. We have Recoil Rebel on both sides, and the logo's again on the back. On the bottom of the packaging, we have hashtag Grimmyock and the original Recoil logo. Right. The original, new. Okay. Anyway, opening this up. Here it is. We have the Recoil Rebel here in gold. We have the RDA over here, and we have the extra barrel right here. I'll pull the RDA out. Set that to the side real quick. Here we have the extra barrel. I'm also going to set that to the side real quick. And right here you'll see we have this very interesting little ring. This is the Ultim ring that is designed to keep the product from leaking when you squeeze a bunch of juice and you overdrip in there. It supposedly it'll create a little lip on the inside of the deck and keep it from leaking. We will see just how leak-proof it is in testing. Beneath that we have a baggie full of extras. In that baggie, we have a bunch of extra O-rings and some extra hex head grub screws, in addition to the flatheads that are installed already. So if you don't like the flatheads, you can replace them with these hex key grub screws as well. And the star of the show, this is the Recoil Rebel RDA in all its glory. Lovely machining going on. However, I did receive mine with this big scratch right here, right there. So that's a huge con. I hate receiving scratched products. I absolutely hate it. I just bought this, it just came in the mail, it's scratched. That just makes me so mad. I know it's a little thing, guys, and it's just a little scratch, and I'm sure it's going to get more scratched up as I use it, but you know, I really do want to receive a nice clean product at any price point, frankly. Moving on, we have the new Recoil logo heavily etched in the front. On the top, we have a standard Recoil drip tip. Nothing new here. See if I can pull that off. There we go. All of your old Recoil drip tips and accessories will work. As you can see right here, I have this awesome gold leaf drip tip from DHD Accessories, and that should just fit on there right like that. It's a little bit loose. I have a feeling when this gets juiced up, it might become too loose, but we'll find out. But the stock drip tip fits on there really nice and tight. And you shouldn't have any issues with this coming loose as you're using it. As we move down the side of the RDA, this comes with the wide open 4-hole airflow that they're advertising as new. This has an AFC. As you can see, it'll shut off 1, 2, then the top holes come next, 3, 4, and that's all the way closed off on both sides. And then it'll reopen, starting from the bottom this time. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's pretty slick how they did that. And on the bottom we have hashtag Grimmyock, the Recoil logo, a negative post screw, and a serial number. Mine is 1950. And here is the barrel section for the wide open super clouds, bro clouds, holy shit clouds air cap. Inside we have a very unique looking AFC. Pull that out real quick. Nice strong O-rings. And look at this, we've got a little step design here going on. It's very interesting. This is how you're able to get a design where you can close off any combination of holes you really desire. It looks very interesting, very nicely machined, very thick, no sharp edges. Despite them being squared off, everything here is nicely rounded on the edges, nicely beveled or chamfered or whatever you want to call it, just nicely milled. I really do appreciate that. I always hate when I get premium products that have super sharp edges like this that could cut you or anything like that. I hate that. So Very nice. And here's the other airflow cap. This is the traditional snake bite airflow that looks very similar to the original Recoil's airflow. The main difference here is that the entire barrel isn't super thick anymore. Now it's just a thick area right up here that allows for the air to come in at that nice angle. We have a thin area down here, so that way the dripper doesn't get too wide. This is a 25mm dripper, so if we had that classic thick barrel on there, we'd have a really huge problem with it being way too big. So it's a good way that they did it. Nicely designed. Standard top cap, very similar to the original. Now you see on this one, the original had more of a conical shape to it, where it was more angular like this. This is much more rounded. I don't know if that going to make any sense, but this one looks much more rounded as opposed to the original. Should help with flavor. Very solid O-rings on all of this. There's really not a whole lot of complaint that I have with the O-rings. The O-rings on the deck, however, do feel a little bit tight, but we'll get to that. And now, finally, the Recoil Rebel deck. Very similar to the original, but instead of having a center post and 2 outer posts, we just have 2 posts with 2 holes each. Offset lead holes, much like the original. I really do like how they did this where the leads on the outside are higher than the leads on the inside. I really hate decks that have the leads on the outside lower than on the inside. It doesn't make any sense for wicking, and I really like how they did this here. Now you'll notice we have channel running all the way around that. That is not for juice. Well, it might be for juice, but that is actually for this Ultim ring to go in there. That pops in there really nicely. Doesn't snap in or anything like that, so we'll see how well that stays in place as we use it. It shouldn't be too much of a problem. That ring is supposed to be there to prevent leaking, and we'll see how well that works. You install that after building and wicking it, by the way. We have flathead grub screws right here. Nice, decently sized post holes. I don't think you're gonna get anything too gigantic in there. Let's just take, real quick, let's take this staggered staple coil that I put together. It's pretty rough, but we'll take it and see whether that lead looks like it would fit in there. Oh, you know what? Hey, okay. That'll definitely fit in there, no problem. Yeah, you know, I mean, unless it's all but the biggest builds, you shouldn't have any problem getting your normal stuff in here. All right, everybody, that's really about it. I'm gonna go ahead and build and wick this thing, and we're gonna get back out to the top view and vape it. And that was an up-close look at the new Recoil Rebel by Grim Green and Homeboy OC. Now, I vaped on this RDA for probably about 3 hours now or so, and I have some interesting thoughts. First of all, the snakebite airflow cap is pretty much identical to the original Recoil in terms of resistance and in terms of overall feel that it gives you. The airflow control cap, on the other hand, is a very interesting thing, and I haven't quite figured out the best way to use it yet. One of the things that kind of baffles me a little bit is that when you install your coils, if you don't lift them up a little bit, they're going to be a little bit too low for your airflow. That's kind of a bummer because they end up needing to be lifted up quite a lot. I have these lifted up as high as they can go, and I'm still only getting the bottom airflow holes pointed straight at the coils. I don't have any sort of undercoil airflow at all. When you open up the top holes completely, you can actually see all the way through. That's just air not doing anything. It's just extra air for you for clouds, I guess. If that's the way that you like to vape, then great. Personally, I don't like a bunch of extra airflow not going to my coils, but man, you can get some pretty serious clouds out of this thing. It'll chuck, that's for sure. I'm gonna vape it here with the bottom two opened up only. Nice, adds a little restrictiveness, increases your flavor a lot. So yeah, the airflow control cap is not my favorite, which brings us to the snakebite airflow cap. One thing I'd like to mention right away, if you have a DHD tip on this guy, I've noticed that these fit extremely loose. This tip fits just fine on my original Recoil, and this guy, the hold on it is completely meaningless. There is nothing going on. I can't lift my top cap up. The only way to get my top cap part of the snakebite off is to kind of go at an angle and, you know, lift it out. Right now, vaping on it with the snakebite airflow. It's very similar to the Clouds Bro Clouds cap on the original Recoil. I don't really get a whole lot of a difference, although I do find that this cap whistles just a tiny, tiny little bit. You hear that? Just a little bit, it has a little bit of a whistle. The original Recoil didn't have that, and it's kind of disappointing that this has that, but it doesn't really affect the way that it vapes. It still is extremely smooth. Anyway, I would have liked to have seen that whistle reduced just a little bit, but can't have everything in life, can we? What else can I tell you about this thing? Overall, pretty good so far. The airflow control cap, I gotta do some more work with building for that. The main problem I see, which I also mentioned in my first look of the Rapture, is that you kind of have to build on this two different ways. If you're gonna use the airflow control cap, you have to build for that specifically, as in you have to pull your coils way, way up so that they're in the middle of those four holes. Otherwise, you just get a bunch of extra air. But if you do that, the problem is when you go to use your snakebite airflow cap, your coils are positioned almost too high where the air comes in, your coils are gonna be way up here and the air is coming down here. So I don't know, I haven't experimented with that yet, but as of right now, my coils are pulled up really quite high off of the deck. So far, this Ultim ring thing is kind of a cool idea. I think it really does work. It definitely keeps me from leaking. Let me see, I'm gonna fill this juice well all the way up. Does anybody else hate these huge chubby Gorilla bottles and the way they just drip on your mods and on your hands all the time? This is now full. The well is absolutely full. If I tip it, I can tip it up to about that point. Oh shit, no, I can keep tipping it. I can tip it, wow. All right, that is pretty impressive. I can tip it pretty much all the way over there, and I just started getting some leaking. So that's not bad at all. And if I put this airflow ring on, I'm gonna do that, and that would be probably the most leak prone out of all of the setups here. Got the AFC top cap on. I'm gonna try to do a little purge, see if I get any leaking. Yeah, that's pretty impressive. This thing is filled all the way up. Normally a purge, when you have a full juice well, will cause it just to spit juice all over the place and just have juice running down the sides of my mod and stuff like that. None of that. So guys, you did a fantastic job with that Ultim ring. It really does work. I'm really liking the vape off of this. I'm not quite so sure if I like it as much as the original Recoil. In my follow-up video to this, I'm gonna compare the two side by side, vape them side by side, put the exact same build in them. I know that they're very different products, and I know that the smaller build deck on the original Recoil will lend to some different vaping characteristics, but so far, great. There's a couple subjective cons here. One subjective con is that it is 25 millimeters, and for me, that's kind of a decent issue. I like 24 millimeter devices. I have a ton of 24 millimeter Mac mods. Having it 25 millimeter is just gonna make it look kind of weird on some of my Mac mods, and it also might look weird on some of my regulated devices as well. Another subjective con is the way that airflow control cap has too much air vertically. There's a lot of air not going to my coils, and maybe that's just because I haven't quite figured out how to build it. Another subjective con is the lack of an 810 drip tip. I know for a lot of people that's a huge deal. For me, it's not such a huge deal because I have a bunch of DHD recoil macaroon tips. A lot of people have a bunch of custom 810 drip tips. They want to see an 810 drip tip. Now, from what I understand, DHD is going to make an accessory cap that will allow 810 drip tips to be used. You do have to buy that, and it's not something that's included. So I'm going to give it a subjective con. To me, again, not a problem. To others, probably. And that's about all I have for you guys today. I'm gonna come back in a couple weeks, do a final review on it, and give you guys all my thoughts. Thanks so much for watching. I really appreciate it, and welcome to all my new subscribers. If you liked this video, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. If you didn't like this video, leave a comment down below and tell me what I could do better. I appreciate it. Anyway, that's all I have. Demo, signing off.